Hi guys, Troy here with Albright Adventures Outdoors. We're doing some trap checks today. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 traps I got to check today, and they're all pretty much predator traps because we've got chickens and ducks and stuff, and we lost 4 chickens the other day to a predator busting loose some of the fence wire on the coop and getting into the run. And yeah, they ate 4 chickens, and I got a live catch trap over here by the chicken coop right where they were digging in. I already caught 1 possum on that the other day. I want to give you a rundown of what I do when I'm checking the traps. Pretty simple. I know a lot of people out there may be thinking of getting into trapping, and others, they might want to learn a little bit about trapping. Sorry about the road noise. I'm not a super professional trapper. Everything I've learned off YouTube, but this isn't a how-to video. This is what I do video. So I'm going to show you what I do. I'll give you a rundown of my gear. I mean, first off, you got to stay warm on a cold day. So I got gloves and hat for if I start getting chilled. And of course I got something to dispatch them. And if you can't tell, I have a little camera mount there for you. I'm going to try to film for you if I got to take a shot, or if I see a squirrel and need to take a shot, because it might also be a squirrel hunting video in the process. Kind of get what you can get when you're doing it. And then I got a little bandolier that I actually found at a flea market. Let me set my 22 mag. And this is a 22 mag Marlin, by the way, if you haven't seen one before. Just a bolt action rifle. I think it holds 12 rounds in the tube and 1 in the chamber. Don't remember exactly, but I got a round chambered, and it is on safe, and it's clearly indicated here. If you can't tell, there's safe and fire. So this is safe, that's fire. And if you see this red ring back here on the back of the bolt, that means that it is live and ready to shoot. It means the firing pin is engaged and ready to fire. So this thing is hot. We got to be careful about where it's pointing and make sure that we stay safe. So I'm going to set this in the truck. Okay. So first off, other than our basic cold weather stuff, I also have my Glock 19 concealed carry pistol. I'm carrying this because sometimes we got to deal with bear, or we have some mountain lions, but there's also coyotes, foxes, all that. And it's the last day of alternative portions here in Missouri. It's January 5th. And for out in the woods, I take the magazine out, because with the magazine in, it's illegal to use for black powder, or, well, they used to be black powder, now it's alternative portion, where you can also use a pistol, any center fire pistol. And let me get that back in my holster. I have a round in the chamber on it, and that's the only way I can use it legally, because the magazine holds 15 rounds, and in Missouri, for any kind of firearm hunting for deer, you cannot have more than 11 rounds in your gun, and it can't be capable of holding more than 11 rounds. So I would have to have a 10 round mag and 1 in the chamber at maximum, and this is over that. So I can still have this on me, but I cannot have it in my gun. But I keep it handy because, like I said, if we run into a bear or something and they're feeling aggressive, which so far I've never ran into one, but had a neighbor that sighted one less than a mile away from our property here, crossing the road. So they're in our area, but got to stay safe. So that's right here in my pocket, easy to grab if I need to. I can throw it in and fire, and I've practiced that drill, and I can do it relatively quickly. Anywhere where I'm going to be, I can see far enough off that I can make that quick draw and slam and fire. With a bear, a 9mm is probably just going to make it mad. But as long as I have something, it's better than nothing. And I don't have a bigger pistol at the moment. And I'm not going to carry my muzzle loader out into the woods for doing my trap check, because I want something smaller to dispatch if I get a raccoon or possum or fox or whatever. I don't want to destroy everything. And we have until January 31st in Missouri on actual fur bearer trapping seasons, but I have permission from our conservation agent locally to trap year round because of my farm and my critters. So I can trap the predators year round, and as long as I'm following their trapping guidelines that it would be through the winter trapping season. So I got to check it every day. My traps have to be marked and all that. And I have a special chum that I make, which will be the next thing I'll show here, along with my catch pole, which homemade catch pole, just a little piece of pipe and a rope ran through it and tied on here so I can pull out a loop, which I got it bundled up so I can't pull the loop out at the moment. And it's just clipped onto a carabiner, so easy access, because I have plenty of time whenever I get to a trap if there's something in it that I want to get out of a trap. And then I have just a Ziploc baggie with my own little special blend of raccoon chum. I'm not sure if you can tell, but I'll run you through it. It's just feed corn that you would get from Farm Supply. Not even deer corn at that, because they have an apple flavored deer corn. But it's feed corn, dog food, and a little bit of molasses just to keep a consistency and a sweet smell, and also some fish oil in it from a Trapper Supply that I have within a reasonable distance of my house. I bought a large jug of fish oil to use for baiting my traps and lure and critters and stuff, because we live just up from the river, so most of the predators like the smell of fish. And that is in a smaller bottle here that I transferred it to. So just simple fish oil that I keep in my bandolier. And also, I got this on clearance at Walmart, if you can't tell, for $1. This is just rotten shad catfish bait that you squirt into a special jig that has plastic on it, like a little teardrop shape. But this works amazingly well at drawing in the critters, especially since it's a fish smell close to the river. I mean, we're less than a half mile from river if we just went straight behind me here. But get that. Normally, this is my go-to for all hunting on this bandolier. Like if I'm out for deer hunting, I have my doe pee and buck pee in here. I can also carry other little things, like in this pouch, I got my camo paint. I got a couple in there, different types, for camoing up my face, and I just always leave them in there so I never lose them. Second bag, I got a simple little flashlight. I can turn it to there and hit it for a little red light, and that's for getting out to my stand at night without really alerting much of the critters, but that's just that always stays there. And along with that, I keep a pair of rubber gloves, because when you're messing with traps and critters, sometimes it gets a little messy and you don't want stuff on your hands. And whenever I'm setting traps, I try to take out a different pair of gloves that I haven't touched the outsides much, so that I'm not transferring my smell to a trap. But that, I usually take the time to set that up ahead of time and just do a day of setting traps. I also got a knife sharpener. It's got like the carbide metal for basically shaving off some of the blade to sharpen it, and then a fine ceramic. So just a simple one that I got it for a couple dollars at the hardware store. And some turkey calls, which not turkey season at the moment, but they always stay in there so I don't lose them. So that's just my basic bandolier setup, and I keep my catch pole and my chum on there. I also carry just a Mora knife, simple little carbon steel, super sharp, and I always try to keep it as sharp as I can. And it's my go-to for dressing deer and other critters, just because it's so darn sharp that it cuts through real good, which I have some processing on a deer to do today. But anyway, that's just my basic gear rundown. I will go ahead and get my gun back on and we'll go for a walk and check my traps. All right guys, got my gun back on and we're going for a walk. So, also I'm using my tripod as kind of a selfie stick. So sorry if it's a little shaky. I'm going over here by the chicken coop first to check the first trap. Let's say hello to chickens and ducks. Wow, we need to clean some poop. That first trap is just a little cage style trap. You can still see some of my chum back in the back of it. And right between it and the coop is where a predator got in. Busted that chicken wire loose from the bottom runner board and dug right in and ate. So that's the only trap near the chicken coop at the moment. I'm afraid to put the little foothold raccoon traps, the little dog-proof traps around there, because the chickens might like my bait if they get out, and I don't want them to stick their head in the trap and die. Because at our house, our chickens are not for food, only the eggs are. My wife's theory is if she meets it, it's not meat. So I'm stuck to wild game. But anyway, let's get up here. I've got a few farm chores I'm gonna have to do today too. Looks like the critters, don't know if you can tell, but they're at the hay ring, have eaten most of their hay. So I got to get another bale in possibly today. They might last till tomorrow. But I try to make sure they don't run out. And then they're all just huddled down waiting for sunshine to really hit. They're over there by the tree by Joe. And then over here by the hoop house. And I'll do a video on the little hoop house too. Pretty simple setup and fairly cheap. I think I only have 60 bucks in that whole hoop house. Anyway, we're here at the first trap. And like there's the hoop house. My first trap is down here. You see it? Right there. Nothing in it. It's just a little dog-proof trap. And I got chained to this little cedar tree at the moment because when I initially set that trap, I didn't have earth anchors. So it's just set to there. Now I have earth anchors, so any new traps to put down have earth anchors. Okay, I gotta kind of keep my voice down a little bit since we're getting close to the woods, because if there's a deer, I don't want to scare it off right away, but I know any sound will do that. But they're used to us walking around here, and they'll walk within 30 yards of us while we're in the yard area. So as I get into the woods, I'm probably gonna either stop talking or just talk super quiet. But just here, just a tiny bit further, I have another trap. And as you can tell, nothing in it. And from here I can see my next trap. It's over through the woods, right about here. So I can see there's nothing in it, but I'm still gonna walk over and show you, but I'm gonna start getting quiet. So I'm just gonna show you the traps and not talk while I do it. One of the traps, or the next trap we're gonna check, is the same as these other ones, the dog-proof traps. And then the last one is a foothold trap that I got set up under leaves and stuff. And I've caught some stuff in it, but they got out of it because they were possibly bigger critters that could pull out of it. It's just a small, like raccoon style foothold trap, but it's an actual one you bury. Right now ground is frozen and what isn't frozen is wet, so I can't quite bury it, so I just got leaves. I've done that a few times and it's worked, but anyway, it's set right on a little game trail for small game. I think maybe fox might have tripped it or something, which I got fox on my trail cam. So anyway, I'm going on silent mode. There's deer tracks. So I've missed the deer on their morning rotation. They come through right about daylight. But let me be re-angled here. Yeah, they come through right about daylight. That still had some moisture in the bottom. So they're within an hour of being here, because it was 25 degrees right as the sun was getting ready to come up. And it's 27 now. So if it would have been overnight, it would have been frozen. So everything else is frosty, if you can't tell. And the ground I'm walking on is just a top layer of frost, maybe a 1/4 inch thick. And the area by my first raccoon trap here, that dog-proof trap, it's super soggy. I think we have a natural spring just up here behind my neighbor's house. You can kind of see there, it's all mushy, and this almost never freezes. So it's always wet through here. And even during the driest portions of the summer, it's slightly damp, but not soggy. And that just goes all the way down, back up here in the woods, right down through this general area. But it kind of breaks around the hoop house, so the floor of the hoop house isn't soggy. And then goes right down that little ravine behind the garage. And that actually ends up, if you follow it all the way down, that ravine leads to a little gas station down by the river. So if you walk behind the gas station, there's 3 little hollers that you'll see. If you take the, not the leftmost one, but actually, yeah, if you take the leftmost one or the second one in from the left, they'll both kind of lead right up here to my garage. And one will lead up right behind this little hump of a hill, right back over here, and then the one right to the left comes right up there. But, you know, so we're not far at all from the river. But I got some farm chores I got to do. I'll make a video on that. So I'm just going to go ahead and end this one, because it was a bust for the day. I'm also going to keep an eye out for deer, because they love going right back here behind, within 10 yards of that back fence, just in the wood line. Since it's muzzleloader portion, I'll stay with my rifle, my muzzleloading rifle, and I spend most of my day out in the yard or where I can be looking out windows and see. And there's a good chance that if one's walking and I catch it before it gets all the way up to the clearing, I can get a shot on it, because that's only 50 to 75 yards at max. And at 50 yards, I'm keeping about 2-inch group with it. I mean, it's not super accurate, not like my other rifle, but my other rifle, I can overlap rounds at 50 yards open sight, just a red dot co-witness setup. And at 100 yards, I keep about a 3-inch group with my 223. So that's pretty accurate. I know from my time in the Army with the AR platform that I have, which is similar to the M16, I can hit silhouette targets at 300 yards open sights, no co-witness dots. So I did 39 out of 40 most of the times, except for one, or actually 2. My very first time I did 27 out of 40. And that was because I'd never fired a M16 or anything like it at the time. So just that first run, I was getting used to it. And by the end of that day, they gave me another chance to shoot and qualify. And I qualified 39 out of 40. And the rest of my time in the Army, I qualified 39 out of 40 except one. And that was where my first sergeant came by and tapped me on the helmet with extra mags and said, "Hey, Chops, you're shooting for your squad leader next to you here, because he needs glasses but doesn't want to get them. And can't shoot very well," what I was told. So, Sergeant D, if you're seeing this, Yeah, Sergeant Jay told me to help you out. Anyway, that day I shot 37 out of 40, and we still got Sergeant D to qualify. I'm not saying his name for privacy's sake, but there's lots of Sergeant D's in the Army, so anyway, I know that's not super honest thing to do, but at the time I wasn't living very good and being super honest, so I've changed my life a lot since then. And now I pride myself on trying to have great integrity and honesty. But those are the only 2 times I didn't shoot 39 out of 40. And one of the times that 40th target wobbled like I'd hit it, but when they pulled the silhouettes out of the range, they were Swiss cheese, so it didn't have enough impact to really flip the target down. So I may have potentially shot a 40 out of 40 on one round, because even the guy spotting behind me that was just kind of watching the range, he said, "You hit that, but it didn't drop." So I'm fairly confident with the AR platform up to 300 yards, but not for like a kill shot on a deer. That'd be like combat setting. For a deer, I'm not going to shoot past 100 yards, especially with a 5.56 or 2.23. And 100 yards is pushing what I would be interested in shooting it with, because you just kind of lose a lot of the velocity of the bullet, and you can't guarantee you're going to have a good kill shot. And accuracy wise, I don't have a super long barrel. It's only 16 inch, because mine's technically not even an AR-15, it's an M4, a civilian M4. So it's only semi-auto. And with it being a 16-inch barrel, my accuracy is only about a 3-inch group with my red dot sight that I had as a co-witness setup. And if you don't know what co-witness setup is, it's basically having a red dot that is lined up over your front sight anyway. So you just pull it up and the dot's on it, you go. You don't even have to sight it in really, because you just dial the red dot over till it lines up with that front sight post. So it's super handy, and most of my shots here are within 50 to 75 yards. When I'm out in my stand, I only get a 50-yard shot at max, because we're heavily wooded if you can't tell. And I only got a small clearing. But from my house, if I'm shooting back into the woods, I can get up to about a 75-yard shot. And with my black powder, I was keeping about a 4-inch group with a scope. And I'm confident that I can hit the vitals on a deer with it at that distance. And like I said, we can be standing 30 yards from the deer when we're in like the goat fence area, and the deer will walk by and not even care. They'll look up at you, but that's about it. My wife has been out there petting the critters around that hay ring, and it's maybe 15 yards from the back fence, and well, actually it's about 20, because it's set right in the middle, and this is 40 yards from this fence to the other fence. And I actually used my rangefinder for bow to set the fence whenever I was doing it. But yeah, we out here talking, deer walk right by, didn't even care. And they do it regularly. But I could never connect at the same time through November portion of rifle season, and I didn't get a muzzle loader until halfway through the muzzle loading season this year. It's my first muzzle loader. So didn't have a whole lot of time, and my pistol, I don't trust it shooting anything past 10 yards. It's got a little like 3.5-inch barrel on this Glock 19, maybe 4. I don't remember what the stats are on it, but super short. And I've tried shooting 30 yards, and I can hit like a 10-inch plate, steel plate like my buddy has at his little range, but that's only at 30 yards. And even then, sometimes I'm just barely clipping it. I'm most confident within 10 to 15 yards, because there I'm hitting a small enough area to be a kill shot. Anyway, I think I rambled on enough, and I'm gonna go ahead and sign off and start working on some deer processing, which I might make that another video, but might not, because my garage is super messy and embarrassing, so I don't think I want to put that on YouTube yet. Anyway, have a great day. God bless, and I'll see you on the next one.